Now, the next game, from a solo game to a cooperative game. What? So if you watch the channel, you will know we very rarely play a cooperative game. But this one was recently on Kickstarter. It's called Paint the Roses, and it is by the designer Ben Goldman. And it is an abstract deductive game, but it does have a Alice in Wonderland theme.
Yes. Yeah.
And what you're going to be doing is you're going to be trying to help each other to discover the patterns in the garden, which is the center board, that are on each of your individual cards.
Whim cards.
Your whim,
the queen's
whim
whims of how the queen wants the flowers arranged around the garden.
And you better keep solving these little whim cards because the queen is chasing you around the board. And if the queen catches you, it's off with your head.
Yes.
And so we need to keep one step ahead of the queen.
Or more, ideally. Ideally
more. So the way that this game works is that everybody is going to have a card, and that card is going to have on it a set of two things, either a shape and a shape, or a color and a color, or maybe if you're playing with a hard card, a shape and a color. Now, an easy one is always color to color, and the way that the colors are depicted on the board is via some colored flowers that you can see on the tiles. And all that you're going to be doing on your turn is taking a tray that has 4 different tiles in it.
The greenhouse. That's what the tray is.
The greenhouse. I didn't even realize it was a greenhouse, honestly.
So you're picking that up.
And that's why you're the themer.
It might be a bit blurry otherwise, yeah.
Yeah, so you're taking the greenhouse and you're selecting a tile from that greenhouse to add to the garden. Now, in order to win the game, collectively, we need to complete the garden with tiles. As soon as we do that, then we've won the game. And obviously we can't be caught by the queen who's chasing us trying to end the game prematurely. So what you're going to be doing is choosing one of those tiles and placing it out into the garden where there's already an arrangement of tiles that have different suits on them, or the shapes, and different colored flowers. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take your cubes and put them on the tile that you just placed and give some information about what you have on your card. So the number of tokens that you're going to be putting down, number of cubes that you're going to be putting down, tells the people around the table how many matches you have with your card with the surrounding or adjacent tiles to the one you just placed, which means that you can sometimes very quickly deduce an easy card because it might be very easy to signal that I have a purple flower and a purple flower. I might place a purple tile and it's next to 2 other purple tiles, which I'll then show 2 cubes, and everyone will be like, well, it's surrounded by 2 matching things. It must be purple. It's hard to explain on a video.
It is hard to explain, yeah.
But what you're essentially trying to do is rule out every possible combination of color and shape, or color and shape to try and work out what people's cards are. Now, it comes with some pieces of paper that are very useful for the medium and hard cards, because as you get more information with each round, you're going to have to be marking off what we think is now not a possible combination. But the trick to this game is, after one person places a tile, everybody gets to use that tile if they want to give more information about the card that they have in their hand. And in any given turn, you can make as many guesses about players' cards around the table as you want to, or as you're willing to gamble, because you might get it down to a 50-50 chance, but if you get it wrong, the queen who's chasing after you is going to get to move at double the speed.
Yeah.
So that could be a very scary thing, because the other part of this game is, as the game progresses, that queen gets faster and faster.
Yeah.
So we're going to be adding a physical layer to the bottom of the
petal,
queen mini.
yeah, rose petal underneath.
A rose petal.
Makes her taller and taller.
She gets taller and taller, more terrifying, and she also moves faster and faster. And so when she's already moving 3 spaces and you make a mistake, she's going to be moving 6 spaces and very quickly catch up with you. Now, this game, wow, it is a brain burner.
So hard.
It is so hard. In our first game, I spent probably the first half of the game trying to work out how people were deducing any information. Like, for some reason, I just could not wrap my head around the puzzle of this game. It is hard. This is not, by any means, is not an easy game. Even though there are easy cards in here, at any one time, only one player can have an easy card around the table. And so that means that there's medium and hard cards in the mix. And the harder the card you're willing to take, the more movement points it's going to give you when you get it right. And so there is an incentive to play with harder cards, but it is so difficult.
Hard. Yeah,
and you have to make a guess on each player's turn, which means that you're likely going to get it wrong and that queen is going to come chasing after you, and you need to work things out as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
And it's just tough.
I'm so surprised at the layers, because and this is the other thing, as you're playing and you start realizing, even around the table, you start realizing the layers of possible strategy. It's almost like figuring out the strategy is part of the game and part of what, the first few games, you'll spend doing the first few games. Because then there's this aha moment when you're like, oh, wait. So sometimes in that greenhouse, the tiles that you have is like, I'd actually would be putting something that wouldn't tell you anything about my actual win card that I have, because it doesn't actually have any matches to what I'm trying to show. In which case you're like, oh, well then I actually should be using this to help us decipher, or deduce what the other people around the table have. So there's like layers and layers. This is, even though it looks sort of fun and friendly, and I love the artwork in this. I love the artwork. It's got, cool little, minis. This is not a kid-friendly game. In terms of
hard.
Yeah, this is hard. Like this is not like a family.
Or at least in my brain, it's quite hard.
Yeah, but it means that. And again, just having that thing of you can only have one easy card at any given point around the table. For the first one, I was like, let's just have everyone have an easy card just so we can figure it out. And very quickly, it's like, this is really hard.
Really hard.
I don't even know, how, we still haven't been able to really win this or beat
we haven't yet. But we've had a good time playing it. And keep in mind, this is a cooperative game, and we don't usually play cooperative games. So it was kind of, the odds were stacked against this game in terms of our preferences. We don't love deduction games either. We like them, but they're not probably up there in our favorites. But this game, I think that if you like a cooperative experience and this kind of abstract puzzle that really forces you to think about the possibilities and what you can rule out, this is a great game. So if you enjoy that style of game, go and check this out.
I am intrigued by it. It is one of those games that it's like,
we will keep playing this until we can crack it, because I feel like it's a good mental workout. So that is Paint the Roses.